Have you ever felt just completely stuck? You know, pulled in two opposite directions, where literally any choice you make feels like the wrong one? It's such a frustrating place to be. Well, in this explainer, we're going to explore a really powerful idea from our source material that just flips this whole problem on its head. We'll learn how to stop solving that tension and start using it to create something entirely new.
So this is the central question from our source, and honestly, it's a total game changer. This one sentence challenges the very way we approach our biggest struggles. It suggests that maybe, just maybe, we've been looking at the whole problem from the wrong angle.
All right, first up, let's just talk about that feeling itself. That sense of being torn apart can feel so frustrating, right? Even isolating. But what our source material points out is that this is actually a deeply, fundamentally human experience.
You know exactly what this feels like. Do I take the safe job or do I follow my passion? Do I need to rest or do I have to push harder? It feels like a totally impossible choice, a problem with no right answer.
So where does this tension even come from? Well, our source material points to a specific mental model that kind of keeps us stuck in this loop, and it's called the either-or trap.
I mean, think about it. From a very young age, we are conditioned to see the world in binaries. We're taught to categorize everything, to label it, and ultimately to choose one thing over another, good or bad, right or wrong, success or failure. We're constantly being pushed to just pick a side. And you see these false choices everywhere. We're told we have to be either a logical, left-brain thinker or a creative, intuitive, right-brain type. But is it really that simple? And this kind of thinking, it just spills into every single area of our lives. Do I focus on my spiritual well-being or my practical needs? Do I hustle to get ahead or do I rest so I don't burn out? The assumption is always that you can only have one. It has to be one or the other.
Okay, you're going to want to pay attention here because this is where everything shifts. The secret isn't to try and pick the right side. The real breakthrough is realizing that both sides are true at the exact same time.
This is such a fundamental truth about how things really are. The world isn't a simple binary system. It's complex, it's nuanced, and it is full of contradictions that actually coexist pretty peacefully. That tension we feel on the inside, it's just a reflection of how the world actually works. And look, this isn't some new agey idea. From ancient spiritual masters to cutting-edge quantum physicists, the most brilliant thinkers have always known this. They don't run away from paradox. They actually embrace it as a signpost that points to a much deeper truth.
Let's just take one of the most famous paradoxes in all of modern science. For decades, physicists debated what light actually is. Is it a particle, like a tiny little ball? Or is it a wave, like a ripple in a pond?
And the answer they discovered? Well, it was totally mind-bending. It wasn't either or, it was both and. Light is somehow at the exact same time a particle and a wave. Depending on how you look at it, it behaves as both. Two completely contradictory truths coexisting in the very same thing. Wild, right?
So, according to our source, learning to think this way isn't just some clever mental trick. It's actually a genuine step forward in our own development. It's about moving from that simple black and white thinking to a much more mature and multi-dimensional kind of awareness.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do we actually do it? This next part gives us a really practical tool to start navigating our own personal paradoxes. It's called the paradox practice. And you got to notice the key phrase here. Without needing to solve the tension immediately. See, the goal isn't to find a quick fix. It's to develop the capacity to just sit with the complexity for a little while. So how does this work? Let's walk through it. First, you've got to name it. Be really honest about the tension you're feeling. Second, identify the two opposing truths. So not I should rest or work hard, but I need to rest and I need to work hard. Third, you ask the magic question. What if both are true? This is the pivot point. Fourth, and this is the hardest part, you have to hold it. You have to resist that urge to immediately jump to a solution. Just hold that discomfort. And finally, number 5, you just watch. You stay open, you stay observant, and you allow a new creative solution, that third way, to emerge from that space. So what happens when you actually do this? When you can successfully hold that tension instead of trying to run from it? Our source calls this the third way, and it's where all the magic happens. And this third way that emerges, it's not some watered-down, boring middle ground. It's not about working a little less and resting a little bit. For that rest versus hustle paradox, the third way might be discovering a whole new system of focused, high-intensity work sprints, followed by deliberate, strategic rest. You'd actually make both your work and your recovery way more effective than they ever were apart. It's about integration, not compromise.
Think of it like this. The space between those two opposites becomes a creative void, an incubator. By holding that space open, you allow for an answer you couldn't have possibly thought of when you were stuck in that either-or thinking. The opposites literally become portals to something new.
This is the question to carry around with you. The next time you feel that pull in two directions, instead of asking which one is right, try asking what if both are true, and then just see what new possibilities open up.
So I'll leave you with this question to reflect on. What paradox are you living in right now? What's that tension you've been avoiding? What are the two truths you believe you have to choose between? Because just by naming them, you are already taking the first step. And that, right there, is where the real transformation begins.